Hello, my name's Beck and you are watching Beck's Crafty Nook. Today I wanted to start a new series. Now I did get the idea from Tami, Crafty Mompreneur. It's kind of a copy and kind of not. So I want to call it the same thing as she does, and there's a reason for that. So she does a series and it's called Granny Square Sunday. So I would like to just hashtag Granny Square Sunday, or I might even call it that as well, and that's going to help my YouTube channel in the search if somebody's searching for her Granny Square Sunday. I am going to credit her, which I have. I'll put her links in the description and I'll put her stuff on the screen. The content's going to be different, so I'm hoping the etiquette is that is going to be okay. To call it the same thing, credit her, and my content is a little bit different. So in her Granny Square Sunday, she started out by doing a deck of cards. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll show you the picture. And then during that series, she was talking about how she accidentally bought the dupe pack instead of the real pack. And the thing about it is that just like quilt blocks, Granny Squares, some of them are not unique enough to be trademarked or copyrighted or attributed to a certain designer. And so they're just like basic things that anybody can use. And so I don't think it really matters that it was a dupe or not, because it's just classic squares. Like the person who made that deck, I think they just collaborated it all together, which made that their creation, and the fact that they put the chart on the back and all that kind of jazz. But the actual Granny Square patterns, I don't think they're anything new, just like quilt block patterns. So she then made her way through the whole pack. So every Sunday she would pick 5 from the pack and she would make them. So what I would like to do is take my inspiration from Pinterest. I have a whole board that's labeled Granny Squares, and I would like to go on my board and pick 5 squares every week and make them. Now she ran into some problems with her squares that at the end they weren't cohesive because she had used the colours that they had suggested on the cards. And then when she went to put the whole lot together, like all of the granny squares that she had made, they didn't really go together. So then she did some videos where she sorted them, and then she decided to make different projects with them. What I would like to do is I would like to make a blanket with all my squares. So what we're going to do is we will pick 5 squares a week, so it can be a series. But in the beginning, which is now, we're going to pick a color palette. And then that way, when I make all the squares, they will be cohesive. A lot of the color palettes that I have put together have 5 colors and white. So I will look for granny squares I can make that will have 5 colors or 5 and a white. I think it could go either way, that it's just 5 total, or some of them can be 5 and white. So let's get started choosing our colors, and let's pop onto Pinterest in my granny square board and let's choose 5 granny squares to make. Right, so this is the color palette here. Let's take a closer look. Now, the color palette that I put on screen now, if you'd like to take a screenshot, if you would like to make it yourself. If you're in Australia, you'll be able to find this in Spotlight. Okay, can you stop scratching, please? You can find this brand in Spotlight, and they pretty much always have all the colors. But I have substituted 2 in here. So we've got mint. This is apricot in the same brand. This should be antique rose, but I just got the Anko, and I think it's called musk from Kmart. I got Shaun the Sheep glitter tones. I just like a bit of glitter, and it's an 8-ply, I think. It's only 50 grams, but it should do us. Hasn't got a color. And we have latte, also latte. You're latte, aren't you? Yes. Latte in the Four Seasons Marvel. I've also got a white. I've just got a Kmart and Co white. Ta-da! And we've got our spotlight bag ready for a project bag. So I always like to start mine with white in the middle, so we're going to do that. The square that we're starting with is just a basic granny square. It has 5 colors all together, so we are going to miss one color, but that's okay. We're going to mix it up as we go through the squares. As long as they're within that color palette, we're going to be okay. We're using my favorite 3.5. You can use a 4, whatever you prefer. I think I just picked this because I like the pink one. So that's that, and I'm just used to that now. And the first square I've chosen, I'll put the picture up on the screen and the link in the description. I haven't even looked at the post, I just looked at the square. And it's a basic granny square. So we're going to make it how I make them. And we'll have a chat while we're doing that. So I've just popped on a stopwatch so we can see how long each square takes to. Because, I don't know, I'm just always interested to know where's the middle. Here it is. I always like to do a middle pull. That's up to you, what you want to do. So we're going to start with a magic loop. But you do have to make sure that you secure your magic loop when we finish the square. Otherwise, the middles come undone. And that did happen to me on my first blanket. But I didn't go back and fix it. Yeah, it's just the dodgy first blanket, you know. And I noticed before that my finger was hurting. Look, getting a little infection in there. Luckily, I have some Bactroban, and I put a little bit of that on it, and I don't know why it's getting infected. I must have did something abrasive when I was cleaning. So with a magic loop, you do that little thing to start. I'm gonna do, and it doesn't count, I'm gonna do like a standing double crochet. So instead of chaining 2, and then so I do 4 lots of 3 double crochet clusters. So Tami, Crafty Mompreneur, was talking in her latest video. So her latest venture is she bought a book, and I don't do any chain in between them. She bought a book and she's doing some squares out of there. And she asked, why do you have to turn the work? She's like, I'm reading the instructions on the squares and I do a round, and then it tells me, well, it was telling her to slip stitch all the way into the corners, which as we're doing this, I'm going to show you about that too. And so when you turn your work each round, you end up in the middle of the round. And so for her to slip stitch back to the corners just was like a waste, and it makes it bulky and it's weird. So I'm going to show you about that. But in regards to her question of why do we turn it, if you don't turn every row, it won't turn out even. It'll start to skew to one side. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, that's 1 cluster. 1, 2, 3, 2 clusters. 1, 2, 3, 3 clusters. And 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters of 3 double crochet. Ooh, this isn't really a tutorial. I'm just having a chat while I'm doing it. And then we're going to go in the top of the chain. So that's 1 round. And then we're going to turn. However, we need to change colors. Oh, that's one thing I didn't bring with the scissors. Now I have to get up, and if I get up, the dog's getting up. Okay, I'll be back. The dogs didn't jump down, but Dave stole my seat. So I learnt this from, I think is it TL Yarn Crafts? you can completely just cut this off and then start the next round. So, but we're still going to turn. You're going to leave lots of room for weaving in. So the next colour on the colour palette is mint. And I haven't used this one before. Oop, just busted the ball band. I'm trying to get the centre pull. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to use this yarn buff. Okay. So what we can do is just completely finish this. Boop. Turn it over. You can start wherever, but I like to start in a corner. So every 3 clusters will be a corner. So I'm going to start here. And you can do a standing stitch. So you can do a slip knot here, but I like to just wrap it around my hook a couple of times. Yeah, Tony at TL Yarn Craft has a tutorial. I will link it. So I'll link everything in order so you can see it. And then in between the 3 clusters, we're going to do 2 lots of 3. I don't do any chains in the middle. And so if you do the standing stitch, you can start wherever you want. So I would say the pattern designer, so we go 1, 2, 3, has, like, it's easier to write the pattern if you're not starting in the middle of a square. Did I do 2? No, I'm supposed to do 2 clusters in the one hole. Here we go. And I think we may as well do 5 rounds. 1 of each colour. Because we need to make squares the same size too. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I've done that in my Rapid Round Granny Square pattern. I've started each round from the corner with a standing stitch. And it just eliminates having that chain as well as a stitch. 1, 2, 3. I can crochet over this tail if I want. A lot of the time I think I just weave it in at the end. The white and the mint looks really pretty. So I might even do a video comparing what it looks like when you do a standing and you don't, and you just turn and you have a chain in the middle of your work. See, when you join here, see we're in the middle of the square, and then what you would do is chain up 2, because that's the height of a double crochet. You would turn and then you would continue this way. So the next row you have 1 in the middle here, 1 cluster. The chain doesn't count, so we do 1 more double crochet, and then you do your 2 lots in the corner here. But her pattern was asking her to do this. So she finished, she turned, and the pattern, I think I did one there. Pattern was asking her to slip all the way to the corner like this, a bit hard for me because I'm looking through my camera. Anyway, slip all the way and then start here. And you can see how you'll get that bulk on top that you're not going to have over here. So we finish off here because we're going to change colors. Finish. Boop. Turn. And next color I believe is apricot. So we're gonna start. That's a knot there for some reason. Chop that off. We're gonna start. Hang on, just see if I can turn this light. No, well, it did it by itself. Never mind, there's a shadow if I turn the light off. Okay, so we start with our standing double crochet. We can start in the corner instead of in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, and then we pull through twice. Okay. And when you do the next stitch, it just keeps that first one on there. So I think I'll do another white after this. The picture had 5 rounds altogether, so we'll do 5 rounds altogether, but we won't get through all the colours. And then we'll see how long it took. Now, so then we want to do one in the middle, leave that to weave in later. And crochet over that end just a little bit, we'll still weave it in. Yep. Taking from the outside. Couldn't be bothered finding the inside, the center pull. Don't do a chain in between clusters because it makes it less holy. And I think that looks nicer. So this square ended up taking me about 30 minutes initially. I ended up stopping at the 5 colours, including the extra whites that I put in there. But then when I made my second square, it was quite big. So I added a few more rounds, and later on you'll see at the very end, we've ended up with every single colour with a little bit of white in there as well. So by the time I finished the entire square, it was probably about 45 minutes. Most of the squares I've made took 30 minutes to 45 minutes for this lot of 5 granny squares. I'm so happy with the way that the colours turned out in the end. I kind of went in order and I kind of just did what I thought would look nice. It definitely always looks nice with the mint followed by the apricot, and also the brown and the rose colour look very nice together, and also the sparkle yarn anywhere is very pretty. So here is square one all finished. Just got to put the tails to one side, to the back of the block, and then that way when we weave them in we're not going to miss any because they're all going to be on the same side. Our next block I found on Pinterest. I just like the way it looked. It doesn't have a tutorial or a link. It just has the picture and a chart. So I used the chart to complete this, and I accidentally used triple crochet in the second last round, and I also finished it with the rose colour so that we got every single colour in there. So I think it turned out really pretty. It's a little bit holey, but I love the colours and I love the way it turned out. Our next block comes from this picture. There is a link for this one, and again I didn't use the tutorial. I just looked at the picture and off I went. This is how our block turned out. I used the colours starting with white and used them in the order that I have on my colour palette, and it turned out really cute. Our next block is the sunburst granny. There is a tutorial for this one and I did follow it. I used all their stitch counts, and this is my finished block. I just love the sparkle yarn, and we did not use the rose colour for this one. For my very last block I used this square as inspiration and I just made up the pattern myself. So we started with these little colour with white around them, just the same as the granny square pattern. I did do the sparkle in the middle, but then I decided because there's 5 colours, we will do the other 4 colours and then put the sparkle yarn around them. And then once we've done that, we're going to connect them all together with a round of white. So that's what I did for these ones. That's all 4 completed, ready for their round of white. The white round is added just in single crochet with 4 singles in the corners, and then I connected them with my favorite method and a single round of single crochet around the outside. So now we're doing the job that no one wants to do, which is weaving in all the ends, but I've just put on a favorite podcast, and this is all our tails. So let's take a look at all of our finished blocks together and let's see if they look cohesive. So here they are, all 5 blocks together. We've ended up with 3 large blocks and 2 small ones. But that's okay. As we work our way through the Pinterest board, we'll have different sizes and then we'll put them together. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you like what you see. And check out these other videos.